Alright y'all, I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but you know, I was working on a project, and I'll get back to that soon enough. I've got that, parts of it, and this here, but well, I'm not going to be able to use this at the moment. It's nice to have it going. Still got a little work to do to it, but I've got about 5 hours worth of film to get edited on that project. And that'll be coming along once I get a little bit of work done here. So what we have here is a what looks like a garage rebuilt KA24DE I just recently picked up, and I'm going to be putting it in the 240SX because Labor Day weekend on my way home my oil pump went out, and well, it threw a rod, and it ain't rebuildable. It just completely destroyed itself. So I picked this one up. It was claimed to be freshly rebuilt, and I do believe that. There's not a drop of oil in it anywhere. All the gaskets and seals are fresh, but I don't know. I don't trust the quality of the rebuild. I know it has a brand new head gasket. All the sealing's fresh, but I just don't know or trust how it was put back together, because as you can tell, it wasn't cleaned up, and it's covered in rattle can spray paint, and there's still broken off studs, which means it wasn't done in a machine shop as far as I can tell. And the reason why it's still sitting here on the ground is well, it was missing a bunch of bolts. In order to put it on my engine stand, I had to find bolts that'll fit in here. They're long enough, and so I took my little bolt necklace here and found some that fit them holes that I had in my can of spare bolts. Before I can even do that, there's one broke off down in here. I'm gonna have to probably drill that out. I hate drilling out bolts, but maybe I can get that drilled out enough that I can get the back out. We'll see. And then I can get this mounted on the engine stand and get it torn down. I don't really care that it was a bad rebuild. I don't know. I know all the seals are brand new. That much I can tell. They've been replaced. They're nice and soft. But I really won't know what I'm dealing with until I get it on the stand and get it tore down. I can tell already the head wasn't redone. The valve stems are filthy, so I'm probably going to have to redo this head. Yay! I had so much fun a few months ago doing the one that's on the car. And I would just swap the head around, except, well, it's been slapped with pistons, so it's definitely no good. I may pull the valve springs out to put into this head. I'm a glutton for punishment, I tell you. But in my closet, back in 2020, I bought a set of Wiseco lightweight pistons and Manley H-beam shot peen connecting rods, some King tri-metal bearings, and a bunch of other goodies to ARP hardware to and do a full forged bottom end with the head studs and all, so that I could turbocharge the KA that was in my car. I just never got around to getting that done, but this should be a good candidate for doing that. I'm going to pick me up a dial bore gauge and some calipers so that I can measure the bearing clearance, see what the journals are currently sized at, test fit all my bearings, and yeah, go from there. I'm going to try and get my forged bottom end installed into this block. Hopefully the crank wasn't damaged when I measure the journals. Hopefully it doesn't need a crank kit. Like I said, I don't know who rebuilt this, but it looks like it was done in somebody's garage with just a cheap kit, because I can see the generic MLS head gasket in there, the graphite coating. But you can tell, I mean, this head hasn't had oil on it anywhere. It has new freeze plugs in it. This is an S13 head. However, it came with an S14 intake manifold and it looked like it was for an auto. I could be wrong, but I think the automatic trans has this extra plug on the throttle position sensor. Either that, it was a throttle position sensor off the single overhead cam, and that's also possible. The throttle body I have on the 240 right now is off of my original single overhead cam that came in the car, and that's because the single overhead cam throttle body is bigger than the dual overhead cam throttle body, and it's not by much, but it's worth it. I'm not going to be putting this intake manifold on. I have the excessive intake manifold that's in the car. I'll put it on. I like it better. It's just a lot cleaner, a lot less junk. But there's a lot of little bits and pieces I'm going to have to nip off my other motors that are just missing from this one. So I'm going to shut y'all off, and I'm going to get to work on this. Wish me luck, pray, whatever it takes that I get that out of there. I hate drilling out bolts. I really hate it, especially in cast iron. Wouldn't have been so bad if that had been in aluminum, I'll tell you. Because if that had been in aluminum, I would have just welded another bolt to it and backed it out with a ratchet. But being probably grade 5 or grade 8 going into cast iron, this ain't gonna be fun. Alright, y'all, it took a little while, but I got that hole there drilled and retapped. I don't know if you may got threads or not, but it's good to go again, so I'm ready to get it all mounted up. Fortunately, it wasn't a original bolt in there. It was way too soft. I think it was a cheap mild steel bolt, because it just turned to dust as I drilled it out. Now, I'm not a sponsor of these, and I bought these myself because they are the best I could find. But these are some really nice drill bits. I don't know if you can see the product number there, the part number. That 23529 on the Century drilling tool. I got them on Amazon. You can buy them elsewhere, but they sell directly on Amazon. But these are solid high-speed steel bits, and they are tough. I haven't dulled one yet, broke one, or had to resharpen them, and they just cut through metal like butter. So if you want a good set of drill bits and you're tired of going through the cheap disposable ones they sell at the local stores, I researched for about a month before I bought these. They weren't cheap, but they're good, and I shouldn't need to buy another set for a long time. So I got it up on the lift here. I'm going to lift it up, and now that I got that hole out, I'm going to go ahead and get it mounted to the stand so I can just wheel it around here. And then tomorrow I'll come out and I'll start tearing it down and see what we got inside this thing. Alright, y'all, I got it up on the stand here. I went ahead and took out the 10mm bolts with washers that were in here. They aren't right. I do have a brand new set of new valve cover bolts that'll fit. I don't know if they're for S14 or S13. If not, I'll go ahead and order them. You don't actually have to order them for the 240 as long as you know the thread size and the depth. You can order them for other cars. They're the same as long as you just match up the size and you're good. I think the ones I order are actually for a Hyundai or a Sentra or something. But they're the right thread pitch, the right depth, they got the right barrel size, so they'll work just fine. I know it's different between the S13 and S14, so I'll just have to double check what I have on that. But yeah, I can, just from the outside it looks like it's had a factory type rebuild. But taking this valve cover off, no oil in here. This engine has not been run since whoever rebuilt it did the rebuild on it. Let me set that down out of the way. We have engine assembly lube here on the cams, which I wouldn't have done that. I would have just used oil. Got a brand new timing kit. I know it's a new timing kit, and whoever put it in did not know that this piece isn't required. If you take your valve cover off of a KA and you see this piece, go ahead and remove it and just thread the bolts back in. These have a bad habit of breaking off. They'll crack right down in here, and they'll sit there and bounce up and down and just slap against the chain, and they can fall down in there and get wedged, and all kinds of bad things can happen. I've gotten a few before where these have been broken off and the people just thought the engine was blown because of all the noise it was making, and just unbolted it and kept running with the engine. But yeah, this is a new timing kit. It looks decent. All the gears are fresh and clean. Now it's not turned to top dead center. I've been playing with it. It's got a new water pump. You can see the fresh gasket sealer. I don't know what the deal is with all the mix-match bolts and why it has some broken studs, but I did look around on the the head gasket to see what type it was. I kind of figured it was an MLS gasket, but down here you can see a little bit of it sticking out, and it's just a cheap like Felpro type gasket. So I'm going to replace that. One of the things I was looking for is what they used in here, and it looks like they reused the old head bolts. So I'm going to be taking those out and putting in the ARP head studs and a Tomei gasket. But I don't think the head itself was rebuilt. I think it was refreshed and they just reassembled it. And I say that because the head still has old freeze plugs in it. I can tell those weren't taken out. And if you look at the valves here on the exhaust side, well, they're still cruddy. Looks like it got cleaned, but they're still cruddy. So there's a lot of carbon still in here. So it just got cleaned up. The head wasn't rebuilt, so when I take the head off to put in the valve studs, I'm gonna lift the buckets and check the conditions of the valve stem seals, and if they're bad, I'll go ahead and put in some new valve springs and do the valve stem seals again. I hate doing valve stem seals, but it's better to do it while I have it apart and out of the car. It's a whole lot easier than taking the head off like I did the last time. Well, overall, I'm happy. It doesn't look like they actually cleaned this block when they rebuilt it. I could be wrong. Being that it hasn't been run, it's got this much crust and paint and stuff on. I'm guessing they just did a refresh of the bearings, a new timing kit, and water pump. I'm pretty certain when I take this head off, I'm going to see the factory pistons in there, and so that's why I really want to get the gauges in check. If I have to, I can order some different bearings and mix and match to get everything to fit and clear, but I don't trust plastic gauge anymore, so I'm going to get a dial bore gauge and take the actual measurements. But I think that's going to be as far as I get with it tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put the valve cover, just set it back on there for now. I guess I do have this pile of parts down here. Last time I did this, I did not have the powder coating stuff, so this time I'm going to take a lot of this off as I'm going, and I'm going to powder coat the brackets. That old oil pan is smashed up pretty bad on the bottom, so I'm going to have to take it back off and knock the dents out of it, and I'll powder coat it. It probably wasn't that way after it was rebuilt. It was probably just the people I got it from, they just had it sitting in the garage floor on the oil pan, so it just probably got crushed in while they're bouncing around in there. I do have one exhaust stud here to take out, and that's going to be fun because this one's in aluminum and I know that's a stud, and these are hard. These are a pain in the neck. So this one I might have to try the welding trick on instead of drilling, because when you go to drill out bolts, steel bolts out of aluminum, the drill bit always likes to walk off and get in the aluminum, then drill beside the bolt, and that will destroy this. So, but on the bright side, steel aluminum means the steel won't stick to the aluminum if I try to weld a bolt to that to back it out. It might work, we'll see. I've gotten them out before, but that really is the only other broke off stud I've seen. It is missing a lot of bolts and components, but I've got plenty of spares. I got 2 other complete engines to pull parts from. I have another full S13 engine like this one, and I have an S14 engine currently in the car blown up with plenty of bolts. I'm not worried about the factory intake. I'm going to put on the excessive manifold I have. While I have it apart, I'm going to go ahead and get a spacer installed in here, and while the oil pan's off, I'll install a drain so that I can put a turbo on it later. But I think that's going to be it for me tonight. I did take and put my bar on here and give it a few rotations, and it has compression. You can't hear it on the video, but oh, it has spark plugs in it, so it ain't the easiest to turn. But I can hear it leak down as I get close. Anyhow, everything's moving kind of rough, so I'm guessing that the cylinders may have been honed out, and that's that crosshatch pattern going against the rings. So I should be in really good shape, I hope. I'm hoping everything was standard size parts they put in, so that all the parts I have there in the closet will go right in. And like I said, I'm gonna have to pick up the gauges dial bore gauge and the calipers. I'm also going to have to pick up a set of files for doing the rings and getting those fitted. I already have all the rest to put the rings in. I'm very happy. People hate these motors. I like them. They have a lot of potential. They're easy to work on. They produce a lot of power for their weight. I do hate that it's hard to get good parts for them, but looks like they reused the OEM Nissan oil pump and timing cover here. That's the problem I had with my motor that's in the car, is I actually put on a brand new oil pump, but it wasn't a factory, it wasn't a Nissan OEM one. It was just an aftermarket timing set, and the ring on the oil pump, when I get the engine pulled, I'll show you, it basically disintegrated and stopped pumping oil while I was driving. And then without oil, as you can see, these cams don't have any bearings. They just ride in the journals there, and they have oil fed into those journals. So I know the head's cooked. These spin around without oil would just ream these out. Same as the crank before it threw a rod through the oil pan. But,